Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, joined, as always, by the natural Ash Bizarro. Astrid, how are you doing this fine evening?
I gotta practice my ASA. I'm gonna do fine. No, yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. My kid had her choir concert tonight, and it was fantastic. It was a good time. Aww. I got to hear a choir version, three-part choir version of Golden. Ooh. From that K-pop Demon Hunters movie.
Demon Hunters, yeah. Yeah.
They went the whole explanation of the song. They were like teasing, like everybody knew where it was from, like the Grammy Award winning and everything else, but they didn't say K-pop Demon Hunters until like the last two words of the. I'm like, just say the fucking movie. Come on, just get it over with. They also had a version of 21 Guns from American Idiot, the tour.
Green Day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the musical version of the song, so not just a song from the album, but yeah, they had it was a good time. I enjoyed myself.
No.
Yeah, but we are here not to talk about my child and her singing. We are here indeed to talk about the professional wrestlings. We've got Melball Collins in the chat. Hello, Miss Melball. Thank you for joining us. We also have Zach saying Happy National Mental Health Provider Appreciation Day, and of course, in May, our local establishment does want to give a shout out to all of those who with their mental health issues. Remember that we all struggle with it. It's the reason why this show's gotten a little bit more sporadic, because of the fact that we deal with our mental health issues just the same as anybody else. So it is good to remember that those things are important for everybody. But we are here to talk about, we're back to a familiar promotion, C4. We loved them the first time around. On their all-women show, Bring It On, wanted to go back and see their full promotion because they've got some fantastic male talent as well as their wonderful female talent. And we still had 2 women's matches, not to mention 2 women involved in a 6-person tag. So plenty of women's representation on this, what is it? 2, 3, actually 3 women's matches, technically, if you count the intergender match that was a pre-show match. So there's plenty of women on this show to us to go ahead and give a chat to talk about. But this show happened from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Gotta love when we talk about Canada, we have to use 3 different places as opposed to just 2. And it took place in the Preston Event Center. I really like this venue. Mm-hmm. I hated this venue and loved this venue at the same time because this particular show needed barricades.
Yes.
Because those poor fans in that front row where I would have been sitting were moving the whole show.
Yeah, that was a lot. They had everybody on their laps at the show.
I would have just taken a wrestler on my lap and be like, fuck it, I'm not moving. If you're going to fall on me, you're going to fall on me. I'll deal with it. I don't care. I'm not moving.
I also felt bad during the entrances because the spacing they have is so tiny that they're almost like going in sideways. Almost like skipping in a way to get in there to like the center area. And like I told you, I was really nervous, especially during that the tag team match towards the end.
Main event?
You could hear the semi-main.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you could hear the ring so badly in those ropes. I was afraid something's gonna happen there. All I hear was like it sounded like a trampoline at some points. I was scared.
Yeah, the ropes were definitely giving off some noise. They were but no issues. The ring held. Everything was fantastic. Spoiler alert, I really enjoyed this show. There's a whole bunch of stuff on this show to enjoy. Not a whole lot to hate. Trust me, I do have a little bit of haterade, but not a lot. Not a lot. Let's start with our pre-show match with Cecil Nix the man of the hour, Cecil Nix, who we've seen on Mystery Wrestling, taking on Layla Wilde in a very brief pre-show match. This was fine. I enjoyed getting to see Layla Wilde again. We talked about her, like you said, like I said, we talked about her last time we did C4. She was involved in, I believe, it was the triple threat match, right?
I think so, yeah.
It was either the triple threat or the fatal four-way that Layla was involved with.
Yeah, it was one of those multi-person.
Yeah. And Cecil, we saw him at Mystery Wrestling. He was one of the ones in the, I believe he was one of the main participants in that convoluted tag team elimination match that we enjoyed so much. I mean, I'll be honest. I saw the people on this card, with the exception of Puff. I think I would have been fine with anybody. I would have had an issue with anybody landing on my lap. I also realized watching Puff that that's exactly what I would look like if I were to get into the whole wrestling garb, and I was like, oh, I don't know if we'll talk about Puff later, because I have lots of fun things to talk about for Puff. But we'll get to Puff later. Layla Wilde versus Cecil Nix. What you got, Astrid?
I really enjoyed it, just because one thing that I like particularly when we have intergender matches is that just because it's a guy doesn't mean the guy's gonna win. I like when that happens. It's not the automatic answer of like the guy's involved, he goes over, and the girl doesn't get to do anything. I liked how they worked really well with each other. I wish it would have been a little bit longer, because I feel like when I was enjoying it, it just ended. That was my only, like, I guess, pet peeve in the match, if you want to call it that. I like the fact that even then, with the little time they had, they were able to show off a lot about Layla. So I feel like it was really a way to like showcase her to begin with. I like the part with the clothesline too, when he started. I think she started hitting him with the clothesline, and he doesn't even budge at one point. But again, it's like he's able to show off how she's such a powerhouse in overall her overall strength in the match. But in the end, she still won. So I was like, I'm very happy with that. It's like, okay, I was expecting the guy to win, and when he doesn't, I was like, oh, okay, you got my attention.
I liked how, like, even in the spot where he's making sure that he's not budging on her clothesline, it makes sense. Like, in the match, as strong as she is, as big as she is, as powerful as she is, she might not be able to budge a guy. And that makes sense in terms of a fight in a wrestling match. And again, you're going to hear the term, a lot of these things that didn't quite go right make sense in the terms of more of a fight atmosphere than necessarily a wrestling match. Because there's a couple of times in this that I'll talk about that where I go, I don't think this worked the way they wanted to, but I think it works in the idea of being a little less choreographed and a little bit more actual wrestling style, more fight style. I think it worked. Here, I love this. I thought it was great. Again, it was in, it was out. It's a nice quick pre-show match. I was excited that it was on there because originally I wasn't expecting to see Layla Wilde on this card because I didn't see her on the announced card that I showed you beforehand when we picked the show.
Okay.
So it was nice to see that. Moving on to our next match, the opening of the actual show. People were all filled in now. Project 8100, Dexter Doom, and HADDY, all capitals, HADDY, taking on my favorite tag team right now, bar none, on the independent circuit. I think they are the absolute best tag team in professional wrestling right now on the independent circuit, and I dare somebody to change my mind. Miracle Generation, Dustin Waller, Kylon King. We've spoken about both of these men in terms of tag team matches. We've talked about Dustin Waller in terms of singles matches. I don't think we've had the chance to talk about Kylon King as a singles superstar yet, but we will, because he does do his fair share of singles wrestling. But Dustin is the more proficient singles wrestler. I love this match from beginning to end, soup to nuts, all the things in between. This thing was fantastic. Babyface Miracle Generation is something I don't think you've ever had the opportunity to see.
No, I really enjoy them too. I like the way they it's one of those, like, the way they you don't see them communicating, but they work really well together, and they have such an amazing chemistry in the back and forth of how like they go about it. It's really well done. They're one of those sections that definitely not only from like this whole show in particular, but lately that we've been talking about, they're one of the top ones that keeps catching my attention every time we see them.
It's something special with, they've been doing this a while. They know each other's rhythms. They know what they need to do. there's a spot early in the match when they're doing their thing, and it's a thing that they do every match, and it almost always happens in the beginning of the match, where they have one opponent on the ground, and Kylon runs up Dustin's chest, off his chest, and does a flip off Dustin Waller's chest to land on the guy, and then he stands up, and Dustin basically jumps into his arms, and he does like a pile driver position, lifts him up, and slams him on top of it. It's such a cool, fun, interesting thing that I don't see anybody else doing because it takes so much coordination. But again, like you say, they do it with the simple Dustin chaps his chest twice. Mm-hmm. Kylon knows that's the spot. Boom, it happens. Mm-hmm. I love these guys. I also really enjoyed, and I kind of want to see a little bit more of Dexter do. I thought he was fun. He was the older, grizzled veteran. Yeah. He reminded me of like the grizzled young veterans. Mm-hmm. Like I think if you put him in that group, he fits perfectly with the two of them, with James Drake and Gibson. I thought he was sensational in this. They're great heel tag team, doing the heel tag team things. Just everything he needed it to be. It was a great tag team match. It took 10 minutes and 19 seconds. It didn't overstay its welcome. It came in, it did the fun stuff, and it got back out there. Doom gets the win with his feet on the ropes, typical heel fashion. Protects Miracle Generation should you want to for anything else that they want to do. And it puts Project 8100 back in the tag team hunt after they've apparently just lost these tag team titles in the fairly recent times. Hello, Mr. Bobby. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We are doing very well as we're talking some more great Canadian pro wrestling. We do love talking about Canadian pro wrestling. As we get further in, I'll get to my issues with the crowd because there were some issues I had with the crowd, if their free advertisement being the biggest one, but we'll get to that in a minute. What did you think of this tag team match here, besides the great coordination between Miracle Generation that you talked about a little bit ago?
No, I feel like they did really well together. I was just hoping still that Miracle Generation win it at the end because I feel like they earned that win. But I also like the ending because it was really different. It wasn't one of those, like if you look at the overall show, it wasn't overdone with like the DQs or the cheatings or anything like that. So I feel like it had like nice timing with the way they won because nobody had done anything similar to it toward like the whole show. So I'm glad it was something different rather than just a regular pinfall.
Yeah, and it makes sense with what the commentary was telling us. And by the way, I really wish, and I hope that somebody from C4 who can see this can go ahead and tag us in it later on, who the commentary team was on this show, because they were sensational the entire night. One of them reminded me of the guy who does TNA with Matt Wilde. For the life of me, I can't think of his name right now.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name now either.
It's not Todd Grisham. It's the other former NXT guy who's doing TNA. But it reminded me of him with the voice and the way he called the action. It was really good. I really enjoyed the give and take between the two people on commentary. There was lots of information being sprinkled in here, there, and everywhere. I would have lowered the crowd volume and upped the announcer volume a little bit. Otherwise, it was sensational. It's Tom Hannafin, by the way.
Yeah, I need something with the T. I kept thinking about the T in there.
Yeah, I knew I'd get to it eventually if I just kept talking. But yeah, Tom Hannafin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I like I said, I thought commentary was great here. They didn't get in the way. Like I said, I actually would have liked a little bit more volume on them because they kind of got drowned out by this relatively lively group of Canadians here, which isn't a bad thing. If you're gonna lose commentary, losing it to a rowdy group of Canadians who are having a good time isn't the worst way to do it.
That's true.
But we need to have Astrid talk about this next match. James Stone with Vanessa Kraven taking on Myung-Jae Lee, I believe is his name. Or as I call him, Mini Takeshita.
I can see that.
Because he looked exactly like Takeshita.
My first question to you is, does Vanessa Kraven look familiar to you?
She was on the last show we watched.
But aside from that, do you remember what I told you about her?
No, I don't remember this. I probably should though.
Come on. That she was in the Beyond Classic before.
Oh yes. Now I remember.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello, Louis.
Yeah, she was the one. So I was surprised as I I saw her and I was like, oh, I hadn't seen her like be like a manager like this. I'm like, I've seen her
Mm-hmm.
wrestle, but I've seen her be a manager. So it's like, oh, this is really nice and surprising. I really like the look from James though. So he's the one that caught my attention in this match too. But I like, is it? I guess Jay Lee's how you say his name. I don't want to say it wrong. I feel bad.
I think it's Myung-Jae Lee, MYUN dash JAE, Myung-Jae Lee.
Yeah, yeah. He was really fun to watch though. And I was expecting, being James, that the way that he came with his confidence, I was expecting James to win the match. But the fact that he won it at the end by a reversal and the way he won it, I was really impressed with the way it came out. And I feel like it was really, really smoothly done. And I really like the way he moves. And that was my introduction to him. So I was like, really, I want to see more of him after watching this match.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him throughout this match. And again, I couldn't get over the mini Takeshita, like he looks like a carbon copy mini version of Takeshita from AEW, New Japan, things like that. Like all the places we've been seeing Takeshita lately. As he's one of the, and like I said, it's not I'm not saying it as an insult. I'm saying it like that's what instantly grabbed me to him. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in for this. Also, the Mortal Kombat movie coming out, he feels like he could have filled in with one of the Shaolin characters of the Mortal Kombat movie just fine. But no, and yes, Bobby, since we're saying James Stone is wrestling, I'm guessing I'm already wrong. Yes, because both James Stone and Elliot Tyler are on the card. Elliot Tyler's in our semi-main event, and James Stone is in this match, so I don't think it was them.
No.
But like I said, either way, it doesn't really much matter to me. The commentary was fantastic. And like I said, hopefully somebody from C4 can let us know at some point who he is. Because, like I said, I like to shut them out because they were great. This match took 7.5 minutes, and I thought it did what it needed to do. After Myung-Jae Lee gets the win over James Stone, he goes ahead for the handshake. James Stone, seemingly the heel here, goes ahead and gives him the handshake, raises his hand, does the nice thing, and walks out with the crowd. So nice to see. It is what it is. And we had a little fun time here with this singles match. Speaking of fun times, oh boy, did the people in this match have fun. I don't know if I would have had fun watching it live. I enjoyed being able to watch it from my house, but I have thoughts and opinions about this.
I've been so curious about this one.
Heavy Rocks, Mitch Thompson, and Puff taking on KPK, Abu and Ahmed versus and Seleyzia Sparks. I don't think that's how you pronounce her first name.
Yeah,
I tried a couple times. Mm-hmm. Oh, is it Seleyzia?
Yeah.
Okay. I was worried that I got that one wrong. Lots of them BC boys by the sound of it. Potentially, I don't know. Maybe. As we keep going, you can keep counting. Let us know at the end of the show how many of them from British Columbia. I would love to know. All right. So, thoughts and opinions. This match took 7 minutes and 57 seconds. Let's say 8 minutes of it. Mm-hmm. After the entrances were made, from the moment the heels' music stopped until the first action of the match where somebody punched somebody else, they wasted 2 minutes and 27 seconds with Seleyzia Sparks and Puff. It was entertaining. It's fun. It's allowed to be both entertaining and fun. But when you have the kind of matches you have coming up on the back end of this show, I didn't need to waste 2 minutes and 27 seconds with Puff and Selezia posing off and Puff with his drink and all the stupid shit that went along with it. Mind you, the moment this match started, I love Puff. I love everything about Puff's wrestling style. I think Puff is great. Puff is not for everybody. Let's first things first. He is not for everybody. This is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. He is indeed a comedy wrestler. He's not a wrestler who is funny. We've talked about this discussion. I believe we had this at one point in our Discord chat about comedy wrestlers when we saw like somebody had made like a t-shirt of comedy wrestlers and they put somebody who isn't a comedy wrestler on it and people were like, no, that's not how it works. Puff is, in my mind, the epitome of a comedy wrestler. The gimmick, the wrestling that he does is secondary to the fun he brings to the show. He is there to get the crowd hyped, and boy, did he. He had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. He is a fantastic professional wrestler. He does the things he needs to do. However, everybody else in this match carried the match on terms of that. Mitch Thompson was very fun and interesting. I want to see a little bit more of him in a singles match. I think Abu and Ahmed I thought were interesting, and I'd like to see them in a straight up tag match at some point. And I know we've seen Seleyzia Sparks on the Bring It On show. I know she was on that card, and I thought she did fine here. I loved being able to see her work in this match as a character. She did less wrestling and more character work here, and I thought it was fantastic. With the fake kiss to Puff that ended up with the double super kick on the outside, to the thing where she tried to do the same thing again later on in the match, and both of Puff's tag team partners pulled them out and crotched them on the poles, and she got left with Puff in the middle of the ring when he realized that he was going to get screwed again. Like I said, I was down for the comedy because all the comedy worked for the end of the match, which was Mitch Thompson going ahead and getting the big win with Puff and Heavy Rocks. I thought this was great. I really enjoyed it. However, I could have done without the 2 minutes before the match started.
I get that too. It was also my introduction. I think it's her debut, if I mentioned in the commentary as well, for Heavy Rocks. So she was really cool in the match, and I would love to see more from her as well. I loved the most with Puff because I didn't realize he was wearing Crocs during this match, and at one point his Crocs come out and he starts using them to hit people. It's the first time I see a wrestler wearing Crocs when they wrestle. Who does that?
Puff?
That's the first thing that I could think about. I couldn't stop thinking about it after the match happened. It's like me going on one of those like roller coasters when your feet are dangling, you're wearing like your chanclas and your chancletas were hanging out. I don't want my chanclas to be on the floor, and I don't know where they land later.
I was going to ask you, do Crocs count as chanclas or not?
No, please.
Okay.
No.
I know chancla is a very specific type of, and the fun thing is I'm very glad that Jamie's not here for this conversation specifically, because if Jamie were here, we'd be getting into the discussion of whether or not they are sandals, chanclas, Crocs, or thongs, because the Australians call them thongs. That means something completely different from the rest of it. For the same reason that we call it here for the underpants, they call it for the feet because it goes in between the feet. So
yeah, yes. I was not expecting that.
But yeah, I thought I had a great time with this. I laughed. I enjoyed myself. I didn't take a ton of notes, but at the same time, I felt like there was. You could have, if you cut this match out, and you could have handed 2 minutes to this match and 2 minutes to that match and 2 minutes to this match, and basically everything from here on out, with the exception of Macrae Martin versus Donovan Dijak, could have gotten 2 extra minutes if you cut this match out in its entirety, and everybody would have been better off.
Yeah, I laughed when I saw this match happening. I went, I'm so curious to see what Ed is thinking right now. That's all I can think about.
And like I said, I liked it. Like, I love Puff. I've told you before how much I love Puff. Yeah. Like, we talked about this at Mystery Wrestling when we saw him come out the first time. I'm like, I've heard of him. I've seen some stuff. Cody Fluffman is another version of a Puff. He's the American Puff, is Cody Fluffman, and we've talked about him on the show before. These are the kind of guys I'm in for comedy wrestling, as long as you make the comedy wrestling work. And it did. And like I said, me saying you could take this match off the card, nobody suffers, and you could still give minutes away is more because there's so much other stuff that if you'd given it a couple more minutes could have been really interesting with some of these rest of these matches, more so than I want to lose this match and these 6 competitors. Because like I said, I think KPK is high on my lists of ones to watch on this show coming out of it, because they were somebody I had never heard of before, and I'm way more intrigued to see them than I am most of the other people on this card now coming out of it. Speaking of people that we know very well, let's move on to our next match of the evening. It is our first women's match of the evening, 2 women taking each other on. It is, of course, the Sweetest Pea Kristara taking on Nicole Matthews. the ninja, or the shimmer taker, as I believe commentary called her at one point, because of her run in Shimmer. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, if you go ahead to the Shimmer Twitter page, they've just uploaded a match from Nicole Matthews from 2013. So just to talk about how experienced Nicole Matthews is in the wrestling game, I will not be making any mistakes with how long she's been in this, because I've been watching Nicole Matthews for years.
And what my favorite thing was commentary during this match, because they talk so much and so well about Nicole's experience. I love the fact that they say she's the one. If you think about like women's revolution in the Indies, you think of people like Nicole, who really started to like really blow up and do so many things. And the way they mention her, along with other names of the people that were really popular in the Indies, that really kind of made the foundation for this in a way. And I like the fact that they really compare her and think, oh, Kristara is somebody like a little bit newer compared to Nicole, and the way they compare them like that. And they mention it about Nicole's resume. And this is my favorite match for commentary, especially because of the way they just give us so much information about both of them, especially Nicole. I love that so much.
I liked when, just to talk about what you're talking about, when they're talking about how she's a trailblazer for women's professional wrestling, especially on the independent circuit. They give two specific names that I made sure to write down. Sarah Del Rey. I apologize, not Sarah Stock. That's a completely different situation. Nobody's comparing wrestling attributes to Sarah Stock. I'll probably get blasted on Twitter for that one, but that's fine. No, Sarah Del Rey and Mercedes Monet. Martinez. Yeah, but I got them both wrong. Basically, the women who... I do have them both written down properly, and thought, I could just go on this without reading off my notes. I have them both written down, and then decided to not use the notes and just do the wrong names. The women who built Shimmer. The three tent poles of Shimmer in the late in the mid to late 2000s, 2010s, I should say. Anyways, moving on from all of this, talking about this match. I love this. Anytime I get to watch Nicole Matthews in a wrestling ring is an opportunity that I'm going to enjoy, because she's great. Seeing Kristara again is something we really like, because we love Kristara. Our time at Love Wrestling, we got introduced to, at least I got introduced to Kristara through Love Wrestling. I believe you did too. Her and Alex Mays were both on a variety of different shows on the Love Wrestling channel. I've done different things with them. I believe I did a couple blowing off streams with them over there at various points in time. Just to put in perspective, Nicole debuted in 2006, Kristara in 2021. Yeah. There's a bit of an experience difference there. There is indeed a bit of an experience difference. But you really wouldn't notice it in the way the match worked out, because I thought Kristara really held her own in this match. I thought she was great. The only thing, and again, this goes back to my thing of, it makes everything feel a little bit less choreographed and a little bit more of like a fight in a match, is the finish of this match. Because that's the biggest note I took, because I just sat down and enjoyed this match for what it was. They were doing kind of roll-up sequences and everybody trying to get the win. And Kristara did this really innovative roll-up where she she was getting pinned, she rolled forward and then tried to roll back through it and almost upside down sunset bomb her over the top of her and pin her. And it just didn't quite work out the way that I think it was supposed to. And it took her a couple seconds, and the ref was already counting, and Nicole hadn't gotten both shoulders down because Kristara was still rolling into the pin. But they knew it was the finish, and they just went with it. But like I said, it made it feel a little bit more fight style and a little bit more like Nicole was fighting to get out of it as she was getting rolled into the pin to get beat. I like that. It made sense. It wasn't a botch, but it serves. I don't think it was exactly how it was intended to go either. And I think that there's a good give and take with that. Everything said and done, though, 12 minutes of my life that I thoroughly enjoyed, that I really... And by the way, this is the only match on the entire show that I went back and watched a second time. It's not my favorite match on the card, and it's the only match that I went back and watched a second time. Because I wanted to make sure I got, I wanted to take notes, and both times I forgot to take notes and just kind of watched the match.
What I loved about this too is that this is kind of similar to how I felt with the first one. You see Kristara and you see Nicole, and you think, "Oh, Nicole's a veteran; she's gonna win," and you kind of think of that mindset when you come into the match, and then the way it happens. I like that even those, like you said, it was that surprise kind of pin, but having Kristara win was just a surprise in and itself. And I love the fact that Nicole's character here, especially the way she's like that cocky because I'm the veteran here. I have more experience than you do, and I can do basically anything you do. I can up you one if anything. And she did it at one point. I think she was doing a backbreaker to Kristara, and she like chopped her in the middle there. And the way like she did it, oof, the echo that happened there, and the way that Kristara was just like the selling that was really well done as well. But either way, it's like I love the story here of like I'm having the younger girl be here versus the cocky veteran, and at the same time when you think about, oh, the veteran's gonna win it because she's the one that with the experience and she will get that win out of nowhere. The like rookie out of the two is the one that comes out with the win at the end. And I love even Kristara's reaction when she won at the end too, because I feel like it sold it even more afterwards. And I love how they worked really well with each other too. So it's like I love seeing Kristara getting booked and being busy everywhere, and it's just fun to see her anytime we watch her.
Yeah, I mean, more Kristara, the better for us, as far as I'm concerned. More Kristara in the Northeast here. Like, I know she's on Eastern Canada anyway, so we can book her a couple more times up here in New England. That'd be great for me. I'll deal with that. Moving on to our next match, and again, they do a really great job with this. No match that follows the next match has the same match type. It's a singles match followed by a tag match, followed by a singles match, followed by a 6-person tag, followed by a singles match, now followed by a tag team match. Really good continuity of your card to make sure that nothing feels the same. Everything feels slightly different. Before we get into that, Kristara had a solid fight against Shayna Baszler in Winnipeg. Ooh, that's what I'll have to check out because that sounds like fun. Is that the one, the most recent one, or is that 2 shows ago, Bobby? Let me know. Because remember, Winnipeg Pro is indeed the commentary from that is done by friend of the channel, Blair from Grainmaker Podcast. So go check out Blair, Grainmaker Podcast. Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast is the name of the show. 2 shows ago. Okay, I was going to say, I didn't think it was on the most recent show. I thought it was, okay, a couple shows ago. Here we have Mathieu St-Jacques taking on, teaming with The Blade. We'll get to The Blade in a minute. Taking on, I mean, I guess you could call them the Dark Order. They didn't come out together. They both came out to their singles music, which made me sad.
Yeah.
Even though I really enjoy Alex Reynolds' singles character, because I've had the opportunity of seeing this in Wrestling Open because he works the Wrestling Open shows fairly often under this guise of like the Phantom of the Opera, like music and entrance with the mask and everything. Don't get me wrong. I love that version of Alex Reynolds. But when you tell me that I'm getting Evil Uno and Alex Reynolds, the Dark Order, I expect the Dark Order and you have like the whole music and the whole nine. And we got none of that. None of it. No. We got one pose with the 2 of them doing the hand thing, and that was it.
The claw, yeah. That's it.
And the Blade. Nice to see AEW contracted talent the Blade, I think. Maybe, sort of.
I think he's still there.
He was there. Him and the Butcher were there in the early days of AEW. I actually watched a couple of those matches. I missed them. The Butcher was a fun dude to watch with in wrestling. The Butcher and the Blade, I thought that was a gimmick that could have gotten over in that company. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, he's either gone injured or he's doing stuff with his band. It has to be one of the 2.
Yeah. Either way, it's nice to see the Blade here. Bunny, is he still with Bunny or no?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because he was with Bunny when they left TNA.
No, she left. That. She's in TNA now.
She's back in TNA. She got brought back from the dead.
Yeah, she got revived.
All right. Again, hold on. I have to take another sip of Haterade.
Uh-oh.
There's a ref bump that happens before this match starts, and they proceed to wrestle what feels like half the match on the outside of the ring. Could have done without that. Also, it is good to know that. Oh, is it this match? Yeah, it is this match. It is good to know that only in Canada, in late April, do we still have shovels in our venues. Shovels. In this show took place on April 17th.
I mean, I've seen pictures of snow because of Mel, so it is accurate, at least on their side.
That's Western Canada. This is Eastern Canada.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll get some kind of confirmation.
There is no need to have your shovel out in the concourse area. Yes, but you live in Saskatchewan, in Brock Lesnar country.
Yuck.
Out in that awful part of Canada where nobody should ever live. They live in the boonies with all the moose and the elk and the maple syrup. Anyways, now that I've disparaged Canada enough, and specifically Bobby for some reason, why I chose to pick on Bobby.
You're gonna get sent to the office after this.
No, that happened at the old place where I had to go after every show. I haven't been called to the Ole offices in a while. And trust me, if I didn't get called there after the Marvel podcast last week, I'm never getting called into the office. That means that Bobby didn't watch last week's episode of Marvel Talk or whatnot, because I didn't get called into the office for last week's show. You're not wrong, so it's not insulting anyways. Yes! Vindication. Anyways.
Wow.
This match is the barest of fine. Like, this match is the barest of fine. There's nothing fantastic here. There's nothing awful here. I liked all of this, but I didn't. Okay, good to know. I appreciate that you saw it. For those that need clarification, I made sure I seeked out logistical rulings for how we were going to talk about the political aspects of Daredevil Born Again in comparison to the United States government. And because of the way the last episode of Daredevil went down, I had to go much deeper into what's happening with the U.S. government than I probably needed to. But it needed to be said, and I needed to say it. And I didn't get called into the office, so I assumed it was okay. Again, like, all of these guys are fine, but like, I felt nothing. This wasn't a bad match, but it was the match I cared the least about, which is funny because I knew 3 out of 4 people in this match and was excited to see Evil Uno work, because we watched Mystery Wrestling and didn't get to see Evil Uno work. I think Alex Reynolds is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the business right now. Alex Reynolds and John Silver were super over in the other company. And I don't know if they're still over or not, but like, it doesn't seem like it. And I don't seem like I hear their names very often when it comes to people talking about AEW or Ring of Honor. And that makes me sad. And like I said, I thought Braxton did a lot of good work in TNA under his old gimmick before he ended up becoming the Blade over in AEW. So like, these are names I know, people I've liked and wanted to watch wrestle. And half the match was a cluster on the outside. Really cool spot where they power bomb Alex Reynolds on top of Evil Uno while he's on the apron. Cool spot, but nothing really came of it. They're trying to put Alex Reynolds through the door. He gets pulled out of the way they try to put Evil Uno through the door. Alex Reynolds pulled him out of the way, and Blade puts Mathieu St-Jacques through the door. MSJ loses the match because of this. And then MSJ gets into it with the Blade after they lost the match, leading to what I'm assuming, based on most of the things that I've watched with professional wrestling and even a lot of independent wrestling. You have something like this happen. I'm going to guess at the next C4 show, we're probably going to see the Blade versus MSJ, which will be fun. I'll enjoy that match because Mathieu St-Jacques, and again, I believe Mathieu is just the Canadian version of Matthew because they have to do things differently up there. Because why just make it easy for us all? 11 minutes, 30 seconds. If they hadn't done the ref bump, I would have been a lot more interested in this and it had been more of a tag match. It just felt more like balls count anywhere kind of brawly style match. But it wasn't bad by any means. It was fine. Broadly fine. Ooh, European. Ooh. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I'm treating Bobby so poorly tonight. I love Bobby. Bobby's great.
I was gonna say, what did Bobby do to you?
I mean, I always screw with Bobby, but not nearly this much.
So I felt the same way you did about this match. I felt like it's not what I wanted it to be or hoped it would be either. Because I was hoping to see more like things, especially the Dark Order in the ring, that were actually like enjoyable because I haven't seen them wrestle like together like this in a while. So that was more of what I was hoping for. And the stuff outside, I get it if it happens because especially with like the main event, for example. But I don't think this was ever billed as like any falls count anywhere, no DQ type of match or anything like that with a stipulation that would cause all this to be outside to begin with. But I was mostly for the nostalgia because I want to see the Dark Order wrestle, and I feel like I could really see that happening because I wanted just to see like double team moves or that whole thing like that, and wasn't what I expected it to be. So it was one of those like I could have done without it, unfortunately.
Our own expectations got in the way of us enjoying the match because again, the things that happened in the match were fine. Nothing bad happened. It's not a bad match. It's a fine match. But when you go into it expecting the Dark Order and you get singles Evil Uno and singles Alex Reynolds combining to kind of do the Dark Order thing, it is what it is. And again, I will reiterate to the end of the earth, Alex Reynolds is one of the most underrated talents in the world right now, and he needs to get a shine because I think the gimmick he's using with this like Phantom of the Opera entrance with this I'm really great Alex Reynolds and the whole like Triple H bow and everything else from when he was Hunter Hearst. Like, there's a lot of fun and interesting things as part of that Alex Reynolds package that I think could be really fun. MSJ is definitely one to watch. I thought he was really interesting. He looked like both members of Heavy Machinery put together.
I can see that. Stop.
He's a big stocky guy like Tucker. He's not as round as Otis, but he's got that same kind of build. Like he's a little bit shorter, he's a little bit stocky, he's got all the muscles in all the places he needs to. He wears like, the overall kind of like attire. Like he feels like a Heavy Machinery, like both of them put together. You put Tucker together with Otis and you've got MSJ. And again, I liked it. I thought it was cool. And I'm excited to see them. What I'm assuming is going to be MSJ versus the Blade based on the post-match beatdown that they tried to get at each other. I think it'd be great. However, we are now on to our match of the night. And I believe, I know Astrid was a little bit late on seeing some of these matches. Both of our match of the night, correct?
Yeah.
I thought the main event might steal it for you, but I wasn't sure one way or the other how it would tilt for you.
No, but it's my second after this one.
Okay. Yeah. It is indeed the same for me. So we've got the hot stepper, Macrae Martin, taking on one of my favorite independent wrestlers, one of my favorite people. Hold on. I have a prop for this one. I've got the autographed Donovan Dijak glasses. Donovan Dijak himself. Yes.
Nice.
I paid a bit too much for these on a Whatnot stream, but that's okay because all the money goes to the wonderful professional wrestler known as Donovan Dijak.
We gotta block it from Whatnot at this point.
Not yet. Soon.
I want to tell the missus pretty soon.
Whatnot got both you and Bobby your Christmas gifts, so I don't know if we should be talking about
I understand, but still, it's been mentioned a few times, so we gotta be careful on it now.
Not quite Ed Dijak, but it is what it is. I do love the glasses.
Oh, are you gonna talk about your new follower and whatnot?
I mean, we'll talk about that at the end of the show, but we're not gonna talk about it right now because I really want to talk about this match. We'll talk about her in a bit. Okay.
Yes.
I have lots Yay! I have lots of notes on this. I thought this was fantastic. This show, the Canadian talent, apparently the 90s have finally hit Canada. Like the running joke of How I Met Your Mother about how Canada is always behind. The 90s have apparently finally hit Canada because we had Vanessa Carlton, the Hot Stepper song for Hot Stepper Macrae Martin. We had ABBA, and we had the Cranberries at one point during the next match as entrance themes. So good on our Canadian friends to finally catch up to the 90s and the early 2000s when it comes to pop music in Canada. Very good. But no, seeing Dijak come out with his MLW Tag Team Championship, his Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Limitless World Championships with him on the independent circuit. This is what you do if you're an independent wrestler when you hold championships in different places. Dijak is the perfect example of what you need to be and what you need to do if you're an independent professional wrestler. Because you heard me, Missy. Just because you and your friends are ahead of the game does not mean that the rest of your country has caught up. We're part of the new stuff, but we have a fondness for the classics. I don't think anybody was ever fond of the song Hot Stepper. So, anyways, Macrae Martin is indeed my one to watch for this entire show. This dude is fucking fantastic. I love everything about him. He reminds me of a smaller, shorter Ben Bishop.
Yes, I feel
he's obviously Ben Bishop is much bigger. Like, this guy's not, but it's lost. I mean, it is what it is. But he's not nearly as tall as Ben Bishop. But then again, not many people in the business are as tall as Ben Bishop is. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you get the feel of a Ben Bishop with him. He's got this fun aspect to his work. He's really good in the ring. And again, working with Dijak, you're just going to get the best out of anybody because Dijak's willing to give and give and give for his opponents, and including having at one point Donovan Dorjak. I mean, that's just fantastic. A+ for Donovan Dijak to have the broken NXT finger shot painted onto a door that he got put through at the end of this match. Dijak doing the Macarena was not on my 2026 bingo card. Because Macrae Martin was like doing like little dances when he'd get the advantage. And all of a sudden Dijak got the advantage at one point and started doing the Macarena. And I'm like, I'm done. A+. This match is already the greatest thing. That was like 4 minutes into the match. Astrid, I want you to go ahead and talk about some of this before I talk about more of it because I've been talking for a bit here.
All right. No, you say like he is really one that really stood out to me in this whole card. The way he moves, even his selling was really well done, especially towards like that like second half of the match when he's like trying to show us that he's tired, but he's trying to push it. And I think it happened at least twice, if I remember correctly, when Dijak tries to pin him and he like kicks out at one, but he's still resting in the corner as he can, while Dijak is still shocked that he got a 1 count. But yeah, he really stood out to me. I like the way he moved, and he had a lot of chemistry with Dijak too. This was another one that I was really surprised about too, because I was expecting Dijak to win the match the way it was going too. I was very confident that was going to happen. So when he wins in the end, I was like, you really have me there, but you have my attention with him too. It was like I like his look. I like the way he moves. He's really smooth. And it's like he was able to show off, like he was fast and agile too. He was able to show off so much of him. I really enjoyed it.
These guys got the most time out of anybody in the card, 19 minutes, 13 seconds, and they utilized every bit of it to the advantage of Macrae Martin. Donovan Dijak puts over Macrae Martin in this. There's a spot where Dijak throws Macrae Martin towards the ropes. Macrae Martin kind of half dives to the outside, And Dijak follows up with a boot. And then Dijak goes to do a dive. And he dives on top of Macrae Martin. And Macrae basically, like, he doesn't fully catch him, but he like 90% catches him and then power bombs him onto the ring apron. I mean, mwah, chef's kiss, fantastic. Rolls him in, gets a 2 count. It was a near fall. I'm like, that's the spot that ends a match, and that's your near fall. Match kept going. Martin did a swanton dive for a 2, which was considering how big that dude feels, because he's not that much smaller than Dijak, and Dijak is a big boy. That was really cool. And then he did a dive onto Dijak after that near fall, and he pushed Dijak nearly 4 rows into the crowd on that chair. Like, Dijak sat down on a chair in the front row, and he basically ended up where the 4th row used to be after they moved everybody out of the way when Macrae Martin did his dive. Fantastic. The finishing sequence-ish starts to go. Dijak hits a second rope choke slam, but Martin kicks out at 1. Dijak hits Feast Your Eyes. Martin falls out of the ring, which was so good. That's when Dijak went to the outside and got Doorjack to go ahead and try to. And again, I just love the idea of having a door with your own body on it. I just think it's fantastic. And he sets it up, which means you know he's going through it. And of course, Macrae Martin does this weird dive type of like move to it through the door. I thought it was really cool and innovative and interesting. And then Macrae Martin gets the win. And like you said, I was a bit surprised. MLW Tag Team Champion Donovan Dijak, I thought he'd come out on top. And I figured he'd raise the hand to Macrae Martin and be like, we've seen Donovan on a bunch of these shows. And 9 times out of 10, when Donovan Dijak wins one of these matches, he then cuts a promo where he's like, this kid is the future of the business. We've seen it with Black Jack. We've seen it with one of the other guys he wrestled, whoever he wrestled the Heavy Lies the Crown. He did it there too, where he talked about the kid and he was like, this kid, it was Aaron Rourke at one of the other shows. He talked about how great Aaron Rourke is and how Aaron Rourke is the future of the business. Now he's a WWE ID talent and an Evolved champion, Aaron Rourke. But no, I can't say enough good things about Macrae Martin. And again, putting over Donovan Dijak for putting over other talent. You're a star, and you still make sure that you continue to make sure that the rest of the indies thrive. Yes, Dijak puts a lot of people over on the indie scene because he knows better. Because all Donovan Dijak cares about is making the wrestling business better. And if you are in the wrestling business and you happen to be watching this, make sure you go ahead and follow Donovan Dijak, because he does his online wrestling school where you can go ahead and get sessions with him where he'll watch your matches and talk to you about them and really give you the time. And plus, he's just a fantastic dude in general. He's never getting himself in trouble. And the one time he did something that seemed shady, he went out and called that motherfucker out for his bullshit. And by the way, that was sensational by Donovan Dijak. Those of you that don't know, somebody weaseled their way into being a really shitty human being who bought a cameo from Dijak to pitch their merch. And Dijak did it not knowing what it was, because it's cameo and you get paid, you do things. And so he said the things he said and people pointed it out to him, and he refunded the money, told the guy to go fuck himself, told him to never get a cameo again. Just again, the fantastic human being that is Donovan Dijak. Even this week, there was a story put out about Obafemi seemingly having lost every match that he wrestled on what was the main event of NXT? I forget. I never watched it, and we kept saying we needed to watch it. Remember the one that was like Level Up. He was on Level Up. He wrestled 5 matches on Level Up, and apparently he lost them all. And people were like, and now look what he's done. It's like, he's like, yeah, because WWE used Level Up every now and then with guys that they thought might be something to see what happens if you just have no success right off the gate and we just keep beating you. And how does that work for your character? How does that work for you behind the scenes? Are you going to bitch, whine, moan, and complain? And he's like, I've never heard a bad word about Obafemi, which makes me love Obafemi even more. Even though we don't get to talk about him anymore because we don't talk WWE, I love Obafemi. He's so good. And Dijak always gives me that opportunity because Dijak loves talking about working with Obafemi the couple of times he got to do it. This match is fantastic. My match of the night, Donovan Dijak is defeated by Macrae Martin in 19 minutes. Longest match of the night. And the great thing is the second longest match of the night is a women's match, which is good because the women got throughout this card, with the exception of the pre-show match, and I think we can throw that out because it is, again, a pre-show match and doesn't really affect the rest of the card. The women got equal time to all the men. Like, obviously there were more matches with the men, but like the women's matches didn't feel like they were significantly shorter than the men's matches by any means or any stretch of the imagination, which is good. Do you have any last thoughts on Donovan Dijak, on Macrae Martin, the hot stepper? No. All right. Moving on to our semi-main event, the match with all of the nostalgia music. We had indeed the Rogues, Casey Ferreira and Elliot Tyler, coming out to Vanessa Carlton's
1,000 Miles.
Yes, that's the one. I always call it the Terry Crews song because all I ever think about when I see it is Terry Crews
the
and
White
White
Chick
Chicks.
song.
Yeah. We then had Northern Thunder, London Lightning, and Storm Ryder. London Lightning we talked about on the Mystery Wrestling show, as he was on that show. And they came out to ABBA, if I remember correctly. And it was "I Want a Man." "I Want a Man at Midnight" is like the whole gist of the song. I forget what the actual. It's "Gimme Gimme Gimme" by ABBA. I am indeed an ABBA fan. That's why I was like, come on, I have to know the actual name of this song. And then, of course, we had a team we've talked about before, but we actually got to watch them in a match that we actually thoroughly enjoyed, because the last time we talked about them, they were in a death match type of thing. Violence is Forever, made up of Dominic Garrini and Kevin Q. And they came out to the Cranberries, which is always a hit for fans because everybody loves singing Zombie by the Cranberries. Everybody loves it. I love how like there's some really cool, interesting music, and you hear them come out, and you were like, "Oh, is it this?" And I'm like, "It's not only that. Listen to the rest of the themes that come out in this match." What do you think about this match, Astrid? 14 minutes long. The Rogues defend the C4 Tag Team Championships.
I've enjoyed it, and I like the fact that there's basically this is what be what Mel will say, the glorious chaos type of match, because there's so much happening. I can barely keep up with everybody. And I like the fact that they mentioned it in commentary. I think it happened in the match at one point too, that they said you can tag in anybody, you don't have to tag in your tag team partner, you can tag in somebody else, another one of the teams. And I like that at some points it did happen as well. And I like when they explain it, because I feel like sometimes, for example, WWE doesn't necessarily explain it, and there was somebody tagging in. I was like, why would you tagging somebody that's not your partner? That that doesn't make a lot of sense in that aspect. But they explain it that they're able to do that, and they especially mentioned it at one point when they see like London, and it's stuck in one of the opposite sides for quite a while. And then during this match, and they said he can tag in anybody. It doesn't have to be his partner because partner's far away from him right now. And I like that they mentioned it from that logic of like, his partner's far away from him. If he wants to be out and take a moment and a breather, he can tag in somebody else that doesn't mean it's his partner. And I like that they mentioned that in that sort of way. It's like, okay, that makes more sense, because if you will need that breather, you don't necessarily have to tag in the person that's the farthest from you. You can tag in whoever's closest to you. What I like about this is like seeing everybody have their own moment here. I feel like everybody was able to really showcase themselves. I wish it would have been a little bit more for the Rogues, though. I feel like they're the ones that I saw the least out of all the teams. So that was the only like pet peeve I had during this match. But I especially love the team with London and Storm Ryder. I feel like they work so well together. They really stood out to me. I love the chemistry they have with each other and with everybody else too. I feel like it worked out so well. Kevin and Dominic, I feel like they did really well here too, being one of those, not only the heel like team, but being more like almost like powerhouses and like taking over the matches when they did, and taking over the high flyers and stopping them the way they could. So I feel like that made more sense. I just wasn't a fan of like the Rogues having the least amount of time in the match, but then winning the match at the end. But it's always kind of like I see my clue that that person might end up winning it when that actually happens. But I wish I would have done a little bit more in the match in itself, rather than just coming and retaining the titles almost towards the end. But overall, I like the action that we got from beginning to end on this one.
Yeah, I thought this match was really fun. I really enjoyed a lot of this. I didn't take a ton of notes. I will say that I really loved Violence is Forever on this match. I thought they were the veteran team. It feels like everybody else in this match feels like they're really young. Like they not from an in-ring experience, but from like a looks perspective. You look at Violence in Forever and you're like, these are grizzled veterans who've been doing this for years and years and years. And then you look at everybody else in this match and you look like literal children. They all look so young. They all look so young in this. London and Lightning and Storm Ryder were absolutely the ones to watch in this match. They were sensational in this. But I did love watching Violence is Forever with the style they work is really in something that I'm interested in, especially in a triple threat match. Like they owned this match for a majority of the match. And I figured they weren't going to win because of that. And I figured our champions were going to retain. But I like the idea that these guys kind of like, we're the veterans. We know what we're doing. We know how to do this. We're multiple time tag team champions. And they were like, we're just going to beat you all down. And they really are violent. Like they were violent without needing to like break the rules. Like it's just like stiff kicks, stiff punches, big moves that really just felt like they got the point across that these guys are evil sons of a bitches who just want to hurt people. I thought this match was great from beginning to end. 13 minutes and 58 seconds flew by. And this match felt like it was a lot shorter than that. I'm excited to see more of Violence from Forever as long as we don't put them in hardcore matches or death matches and things like that. Because again, that's the last time we saw them when we really didn't get a chance to really experience them, I feel like, because that's neither me nor your style of professional wrestling that we enjoy. But here I thought they really did a number on just being badasses without having to resort to anything too drastic. Yes, they used some heel tendencies, but they didn't have to really like do a lot of like dastardly devious things to get the win. I thought that was really good. The Rogues, yeah, they were featured a little bit, but they weren't super heavily featured. And then we had a post-match beatdown where Violence is Forever beat down Northern Thunder, which again, hopefully at the next C4 show, that means we get Violence is Forever versus Northern Thunder, because that simple tag match would be great. Just the two teams. I'd love to see that because they were the teams we kind of saw the most here. So it makes more sense that we continue that storyline going into the next show. But we'll have to just wait and see. And of course, just like that, we're an hour into our show. We're 2 hours or so into this show because this show is a brisk 2.5 hours that made Astrid a very happy camper because it was sub 3 hours, and Astrid loves when these shows are sub 3 hours. Am I wrong? Hold on. I have a clip for this.
I'm right! I'm in the right!
Gotta use mine. We can't use yours. Although the other one would have made more sense, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to, however, let you go ahead and talk again because I think this is a match that you definitely going to want to talk about. Alexia Nicole defeats Dreya Mitchell, defending her C4 Women's Championship that we saw her win at Bring It On the last time we were here with C4 Wrestling in 16 minutes in a no disqualifications, no count-out match, which spent more time in the ring than the Dark Order versus the MSJ and the Blade.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy the match. I like having Dreya as that cocky heel. More than anything, that character fits her so well. She does incredible with that kind of attitude in the ring and the confidence she really gives out. And I enjoy both of these ladies. I enjoy both of their performances. I feel like they did really well, showcasing not only showcasing like themselves in the ring. And like you said, I like the fact that this is one of those like it's supposed to be an ODQ, but it was more time in the ring than outside. One of the parts I really liked was the part when Dreya's bringing the door. She's like, "Oh, I got it." She's so confident, and then Alexia comes in with kind of like a baseball slide and hits her with the door that actually makes her land by the fans at that point. And I like how the door was used at the end too. It was more of those the way that it would happen. I thought Dreya had it, so I thought Dreya was gonna win after that moment because it was almost I don't want to call it a splash. Um, I don't even know what to call the move in itself, but the way she did it,
Flip bomb.
yeah, the way she did it through the door, I really thought she had it there. and the way she like dragged out Alexia to the middle of the ring to make sure she got that moment. So I thought she had it there, and I was so surprised when she didn't. But even the ending, I really enjoyed it between both of them here. I like what they call the instead of the 619, the 613, and then they're debating commentary whether that's the Harry code or not. Afterwards, they really had me laughing with that one too in commentary. It was really fun. Um, yeah, I feel like they did really well. They brought out like the chairs and the doors, so they brought out like a couple of things in the ring too to make it different. And I'm glad it was something that didn't happen in any other like other matches because even though we had Dijak with the door was used differently in this one, and it wasn't like a copy paste sort of thing or anything like that. Same thing with like you said with the blade in MSJ versus Dark Water, it wasn't used the same way. So I like that it was still something that stood out in the end, and I like the length of the match. I feel like they took advantage of every single moment they had in this match, and they had a good amount of time in this match as well. I feel like it was exactly the amount of time it should have had.
Dreya works so well to the crowd that absolutely hates her.
Mm-hmm.
And not like they hate her, like as in like they don't like her. They just love to give her shit.
Mm-hmm.
They just love to get on her. But she works so well with it. And by the way, after having watched this, I want to see the new tag team of Dreya, Mitchell, and Riho. The two braided badasses. I just want to see them as a tag team, just absolutely trash talking and beating the fuck out of people. Because I think the two of them would do so good at that. Like, just find babyface tag. Like, put them up against the collab. Like, tell me Shazza McKenzie and Lainey Luck versus Riho and Dreya Mitchell wouldn't be a banging tag team match on the ladies' side. No, Dreya Mitchell is fantastic. I like Alexia and Nicole, but she felt far less interesting in this match to Dreya. Like, Dreya's personality and charisma oozes off the television screen when you watch her work. And Alexia Nicole is just really good at everything she does. And like I said, it's not that she's uncharismatic. She isn't. But Dreya has all of the charisma. Like when you watch Joe Hendry work, Joe Hendry has all of the charisma. When you watch Ricky Saints wrestle, he has all of the charisma. When you watch Jacob Fatu cut a promo and beat people down, he has all of the charisma. Like, there's just something about Dreya Mitchell that your eyes are drawn to everything she does. And I think it almost worked against Alexia Nicole here because of the fact that, like, she didn't have a bad match, but I don't remember any of the things that she really did because I'm focusing on all the things that Dreya's doing, whether she's getting beaten up or whether she's in charge of the match. Like, when she sits Alexia Nicole down and she slaps her on the back and she's like, I'm going to run, and she's going to do, like, the running drop kick to Alexia Nicole on the outside in the chair. And then runs and does it, and then, like, Alexia moves. It's like, it's not Alexia being funny. It's the reaction of Dreya as she realizes, oh, shit, I'm about to hit the chair, and she yells. And the crowd's reaction to that. It's like, the crowd getting on her and her getting back at the crowd. I could have done, and I'm going to bring it up now because this was the moment where I realized what they were actually saying, and they were saying it every time a door got brought out. They kept yelling Preston Lumber. We didn't need to keep shouting out Preston Lumber for supplying the doors. We understand that whoever the local company is that has doors supplied the doors. We didn't need to keep chanting it out. Canadian crowd, thank you. But if you apparently need a door in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, apparently go to Preston Lumber because apparently they have some good ones because they were in full use tonight. We went through about 4 of them on this show, including, and again, my favorite door that I've ever seen, Doorjack. I snapped this picture. I'm going to get my money's worth out of it. It's fantastic. No, these women absolutely were the main event, and they deserve. Like I said, just because they weren't match of the night does not mean this match didn't deserve to be main event. No disqualifications, no countouts. Made perfect sense to make this the match of the final match of the night. And honestly, it's a better main event than Macrae Martin versus Donovan Dijak would have been. I don't think Dijak versus Martin would have been as good as it was and as long as it was if it had been the main event. And plus, we always here at our local establishment love seeing women get the main event spotlight if they can. In a match where it makes sense to give them the spotlight, where you're not defending your C4 men's championship, I think it makes perfect sense to go ahead and have the women main event this show. it's the biggest title on your show. It should be your main event. I think that's a general rule of wrestling that I think we all can agree on is the big titles deserve your main events, and you should alternate if you have multiple ones with it. Apparently, Dreya Mitchell's also in a group with somebody that I'm dying to see, and every time we try to cover a Canadian show, I want to see them wrestle more, and I never get to see it. Von Vertigo was referenced on commentary in this match. It's like he's a secondary champion here for C4 on the men's side, and he's apparently aligned with Dreya Mitchell. And they were saying the two of them could both have championships at the end of the night if Dreya won this. And I'm like, damn it! I just really want to see Von Vertigo wrestle. So if you weren't going to have him on the card, just don't mention him. Because I've seen him wrestle once live in a battle royal, and I'm like, ooh, he's interesting, he's exciting. I want to see more of him, and I've just never really had the opportunity because I've never happened to catch a card he's on. So I definitely got to seek him out. But these women absolutely killed it. Dreya Mitchell was. If Macrae Martin isn't the one you need to watch Dreya Mitchell. She's spectacular. She's going to be something in this business. No offense to Kristara. We love Kristara here. We're big Kristara fans. Dreya Mitchell's on another level, man. She's ready for a WWE ID. She's ready for working at AEW as more than just an enhancement talent. Because I know she's been on Ring of Honor as an enhancement talent before when they've done their Canadian tours, hasn't they?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
I'm almost certain I've heard her name pop up on the Ring of Honor shows because I do try to keep up with Ring of Honor when I get the opportunity. And I know that a lot of the women that we talk about on these shows end up on Ring of Honor, including our own Nixie XS, who's selling her gear from her Ring of Honor debut when she was first on Ring of Honor so she can buy new gear. So if you're the hype who buys gear, go buy Nixie's X's gear so we can have more fun Nixie gear. This was a great show. I really enjoyed this. There's a bunch of fantastic talent on this show. We love covering C4. We'll be back again because this is the second show we've had from them. And as soon as I showed Astrid this card and said, it's C4, here's the card, she's like, cool, we've got the show. And the best part was I saw a card that I think we both liked better than this card a day or two ago. And you were like, sir, we are not changing the show.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew. Stop changing your mind.
I wasn't changing my mind. I was like, we had this, but we hadn't exactly said anything. And I'm like, hey, here's this really cool indie show that I just so happened to catch. That's an all-women show. Are you sure you don't want to cover this?
Don't change your
By
mind.
the way, that one's on the back burner for another week. We're not sure what week, but we've got that one on the back burner because there's a bunch of fun names on that card as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, Miss Astrid, you did bring it up earlier, and I think it'd be funny considering on a Tuesday night to talk about this the first time. As Astrid mentioned, I am slightly addicted to watching Whatnot shows. I don't buy a lot on them. I don't buy a lot on them, but I watch a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have to know this because a few weeks ago I was watching the backstage diva. What is her name? For the life of me, I can't think of it right now. The girl who does all the backstage interviews for TNA.
Oh, no. Southern accent. Oh my God.
Yes, her.
Miss Joe Hendry. No, I forgot her name.
Yes, Miss Joe Hendry. Because I kept updating you because she kept trash talking her ex, and because we talked about it when we saw that she was with Joe Hendry, and I was like, I love her. She's great. She's so much fun.
Oh my God, why I'm blanking on her name? Jeez, it's embarrassing.
I know. But anyways, the moral to the story is that I was on Whatnot last night because I got a notification. Vix Crow followed me on Whatnot. Not any Vix Crow, the actual selling merch Vix Crow, which those of you who might not watch TNA would know this as the lovely Alicia Fox. Which, for those of you who are longtime fans of ours, remember that I did go on a small.
Small.
It was the first of the Ed
It was
rants.
medium sized, not small.
It was one of the first really big viral Ed
is it
rants.
Gia?
Yes,
Gia.
it was Gia Miller.
There you go. I knew it was with a G. Okay, I got it. Sorry, I had to go to it. It was gonna eat me up before the show ended.
It is Jim. But yes, and I sent the message in one of our group chats being like, do you think she knows who I am?
I think she knows. And that's what I was saying here.
She does not know my opinions on her, because if she did, she wouldn't have bothered, because there's no way in hell I'm buying her merch. No way in hell I am buying her merch. Although I did see that one of our favorites, our new favorites, Rachel Lay, just started selling on Whatnot. Also, Shotzi McKenzie and Charlie Evans have a Whatnot that they sell their combined stuff on. So again, if you're a wrestling fan who can't get out there to see your favorite independent wrestlers working, check Whatnot, because I guarantee you they're selling cheap merch on their Whatnot for good value, and you can still get your signed 8x10s, and you can still get all the cool merch and stuff that they have to sell. So if that's something you're interested in, do it, because it's fun. Plus, you get to interact with these wrestlers in a way that you would never be able to interact with them on any other platform, because they actually converse with the community that they're talking to, because this is typically their bigger fans and not just everybody who wants to get their name in the door. You know what I'm saying? So big plug for Whatnot. They don't sponsor the show, but hopefully someday they will, so that we can, save me some money on buying all this merch, because I do spend a bit of money on the merch. But Astrid, tell the good people what you've got coming up and what books you've been reading this week.
Not much happening. But yeah, you can find me on my Instagram for books. It's Book Lovers Book Reviews. And on my TikTok too, because I've been growing on there, because I've been working on it really when I'm not here. So you can follow me on there. No, nothing aside from that. If you're here, you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and then hit the bell to be notified when I upload or go live. I might be uploading some more book stuff, so we'll see about that. Because the Miss Peggy inspired me to continue doing it. But yeah, other than that, you can find me at Twitter is Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads Astrid Pizarro 20.
Yes. You can, of course, find me at all the usual places down here. But more importantly, you can find our local establishment at the places that are right below us, right here, the entire show, on all your favorite social media platforms, our OLE Podcast, OLE Podcasts, or on Twitch and YouTube at our local establishment. Remember that we are monetized on the YouTube side, so if you want to go ahead and send us a super chat to make me say interesting things, you can go ahead and do that. Also, you can just go ahead and support us if you can, so that we can continue to pay for the Canva and the StreamYards, because those things are the way we are able to do all of the fine shows that we do and all the wonderful things that we get for all of our promotional materials. So if you can contribute in those ways, that would be great. Other ways you can contribute to us is you can go ahead and subscribe to our Twitch, where most of our shows are live streamed. If we're live streaming, they're almost all streamed on our Twitch as well. And that is at our local establishment. You can catch me this Thursday night with Miss Peggy, the Empress of our local establishment. She has a much longer name that I'm going to have to prepare for this week, as she won the predictions contest again in the Stuart Discord. So now there's an even longer name that she is going by, so I'm going to have to use that on Thursday. And of course, Andre C. and I will also be there on Peggy's show, Marvel Talk, where we'll be talking all about Punisher One Last Kill, which I still haven't been able to see because it dropped tonight, and I've been doing this and seeing my kids sing in her choir performance, so I haven't gotten to watch it. So it'll be what I'm doing when I get done with this, so that I can go ahead and watch that, so we can talk about that. You can also find us back here in the near future, probably not next week, probably a week from there, but we're going to be talking, I believe we're going to be doing the live show that I'm going to, the PWJ card show from the Restival Festival, that I'll be seeing live this Saturday. So I'm very excited for this. Lots of good people on that show. Very excited to see that. So yeah, I'm very excited for that show. That will be happening this week. And remember, you can catch all of that on IWTV, the same place that you can catch this fantastic show. And again, C4 Wrestling, the places are right up there. You can go ahead and catch them at c4wrestling.com and C4 Wrestling on Twitter. And again, just because I didn't mention it the last time, I feel like I should mention it. C4 is not the actual promotion name. It is just the shortened name that they use so that people know what they are. The actual name of the promotion is Capital City Championship Combat. C4, 4 C's. So I felt like I did a disservice to the promotion by not mentioning that last time when we talked about the Bring It On show. So I did want to go ahead and talk about it. And again, independentwrestling.tv is where you can find all of these great shows and hundreds of other fantastic indie wrestling promotions. If you're going to spend money on independent wrestling and you're not going to a show live, IWTV, again, not a sponsor, just the way that we do this show more often than not. They are one of the best places to do it because they have so much wrestling. No matter what you want from your wrestling, I guarantee you they probably have it there. So definitely go ahead and check them out there. It is about $12 a month US, and it is well worth the investment because 1 month of that, they have live shows that they do. They have a lot of shows that just get brought up as video on demand shows that don't air live like this one did. It did not air live. It was only available on demand. You can go ahead and get all kinds of fantastic things. But for myself, for the Natural Ash Bizarro, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it, and we will catch you all next time. Goodbye.
I am an